Call to order this Planning and Zoning Commission meeting of Monday, October 8th. All please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Eva, please call the roll.
Mr. Redmond.
Here.
Mr. O'Neill.
Here.
Mr. Bateman.
Here.
Mr. Kressler.
Here.
Mr. Weisgerber.
Next order of business is the review and approval of meeting minutes dated July 5th, 2002. Do we have any comments or corrections to the meeting minutes from anyone?
I move we approve the minutes as transcribed.
Second.
Mr. O'Neill.
Yes.
Mr. Bateman.
Abstain due to absence.
Mr. Kressler.
Yes.
Mr. Weisgerber.
Yes.
Mr. Redmond.
Yes. All right, next order of business is the public hearing, case number 22-06, conditional use application for 1555 Loveland Madeira Road. We have a motion to open into public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, so could we have a staff report on what this case is about? An overview, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is an application filed by DVD Real LLC, 6845 Palmetto Street, Cincinnati, 45227, requesting a conditional use for a single parcel of land, 1555 Loveland Madeira Road, auditor's ID 621-0009-006000. It's in the BR Business Retail District. The applicant is requesting conditional use approval to convert the former car wash facility into a microbrewery and tap room facility. Conditional uses are regulated pursuant to Chapter 1111, Section 111106 of the Planning and Zoning Code for the City of Loveland. The application and site materials were provided to the Commission and were posted online. Just noting there is a little bit of background regarding the principal and accessory uses per Chapter 1156 Table of Permitted Uses. Additionally, let me switch the camera here. Additionally, looking at this, the applicant states that they want to adaptively repurpose this to a microbrewery and tap room. They assert that within the application materials, the granting of this conditional use ensures the outdated car wash is converted into a community establishment where community members can congregate, laugh, and begin their journey into other parts of Loveland, and that's per the application. The relevant definitions have been provided in the staff report. I've provided the definition for a microbrewery, but I've also provided the definition for a tavern because there's no definition in the Planning and Zoning Code for a tap room. So based upon the definition of tavern as established in 110701, the tap room does qualify for a tavern use, so it's appropriate to consider both simultaneously under this application. Looking at the relevant zoning code citations, you'll find the conditional use regulations in the staff report, as well as specific regulations from Chapter 116519 regarding regulation of brew pubs, microbreweries, and regional brewery regulations. So looking at this, it appears to be consistent with the purpose and intent of the conditional use section of the zoning code. Based upon a review of the application materials, it's not clear how the applicant will renovate or repurpose the existing facility since the site plan provided. And I will bring this up on the large screen here. Right here. Out a little bit. Site plan provided doesn't detail proposed parking circulation, the scope of renovations, any building additions, subtractions, whatnot. It does document there are 2 existing access points on the property. Adequate circulation appears to exist for vehicular traffic, given the configuration of the property for the prior use. It does not appear to pose a hazard to neighboring uses. The corridor is primarily commercial with public facilities use and other medium intensity commercial uses situated in the immediate vicinity. There is some more intense light industrial uses to the south, which is buffered from the site by existing rail lines. To the north, there is some well-buffered residential district and multifamily uses in the larger area, but this site does not appear to have any real impact to those uses based on distant proximity and topography. It does appear the property is adequately served by public streets. Water service and sanitary sewer service are assumed to be adequate based on the prior use being relatively water intensive and operated on site there. The proposed use does appear to have a positive impact on the segment of the corridor because it will result in adaptation of a now defunct car wash facility, restoring the site to active commercial use as intended under the present zoning classification. There does not appear to be any issue with excessive glare, odor, or fumes, provided the microbrewery is operated in conformance with all established regulations. We do need some things. We do need a site plan, that demonstrates what the scope of the proposed improvements are. I understand we're very early in the process, and then looking at the regulations. Just to point out, there are several conditions that we would recommend if this is granted favorable consideration, namely 3 of them, which is compliance with microbrewery regulations in section 116519, installation of sidewalks along the street frontage, placement to be confirmed by the Planning and Zoning Commission as part of site plan review. And then also of note, this property is located in the Love Madera Overlay District. So regardless of the scope of modifications, it would really, we've recommended that site plan review be a requirement of any use or approval or conditional use approval regardless, so the commission can get a feel for the placement of buildings, parking, circulation, landscaping, the whole 9 yards. Regardless of the LMO designation, it should go through site plan. So it either goes through site plan or it goes through LMO site plan. Both of those, the regulations say they can go concurrently to each other and happen at the same time. And so in that regard, would recommend that be a condition as well if granted favorable consideration. So.
Okay, thank you. Do we have somebody from the applicant? Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry. Can we make a motion to open up the public hearing?
They did.
Oh, he did? I don't know if we did the minutes. I didn't have.
Yeah, I thought we did.
You didn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was getting his packet. Okay, sorry.
No.
Yep.
Packets.
25 years.
That's my fault. That's okay. We mumble sometimes. Okay. I do.
That's my first mistake in 25 years.
Would you like for us to reenact that for you?
Okay. I lost track where we were. Oh, somebody from the applicant. Do we have somebody from the applicant who'd like to speak? If you would like to state your name, please, and address, and then I don't know if there's a timer. Do we use a timer for the applicant? Typically, no. Okay. So you're good to go.
Okay. Hello, Justin Conger, President and CEO of Conger Construction Group, representing the owner, DVD Brew, 2020 McKinley Boulevard, Lebanon, Ohio, 45036. Appreciate the opportunity to come before you this evening and discuss the project. As you can see, our client, he apologizes he couldn't make it. He's traveling on business tonight, but I'm here representing him and free to answer any questions. But I've been working with this gentleman in business for the better part of a year, looking to, again, repurpose a property. Looked at a number of different properties in different cities and municipalities and ultimately settled on this adaptive reuse. He was actually looking at doing this in Milford and in another city, but decided upon this property. Appreciate the time. Again, looking to really, it's the site, it's funny, it's a car wash, right? But it sets up perfect for its intended use. The old self-service building, when you go in and wash your car yourself, they kind of face this level of Madeira Road. That'll be the tap room. So again, if you look at the existing one-story building that's like 3,481 square feet, that'll be the tap room or tavern, where people would, congregate, drink beverages, what have you. And then the old automatic car wash building will be the actual brewery. So he'll be, brewing and making the beer in that separate building, and then serving it in the old self-service car wash building. So again, early on in the process, we wanted to get through this process early, making sure that we had engaged the city of Loveland. I had an opportunity to meet with Eva and Mr. Kennedy. She was probably 7 months ago, just kind of discussing this, but wanted to get through this process. We are working with Choice One Engineering to do a new parking layout based upon the use. So we're working on that, and we'll definitely make sure that's a part of the submission. But really, reusing the buildings as is, not raising any structures, not demolishing anything in the existing self-service bays that, again, face Loveland Madeira Road and kind of drive through. We're going to fill a multitude of those in with overhead glass garage doors to be able to use that space in the winter for heating, but also activate that space, allow for a breeze to come through in a number of months. We'll be filling in a couple of those with similar materials on the backside, putting restrooms in the building. Again, adequate plumbing, adequate water, adequate sanitary sewer. We talked to MSD and Cincinnati Waterworks and City of Loveland and everything else. So we think we have no issues there around utilities. But it's, again, a neat concept. I kind of thought, oh, man, this is going to be interesting. Can we do this? But as we work through with the architectural firm and the client, again, a really neat concept. The architect actually found that this was done somewhere in northern Ohio, the same thing, that they took an existing car wash and adaptively repurposed it. So any questions, feel free to answer them or provide an insight that I can for the committee.
Mark, I just want to point out from the beginning, we've already been discussing the sidewalk connectivity up to River Ridge, and that could really be a home run for everybody because connectivity is a big part of the comprehensive plan. This would allow us to, they would do their part and just get the sidewalks to their property line, but the city's goal will try to work with the property owners. I think if you live in River Ridge, the demographics of a lot of people that live in the River Ridge apartments would be probably prime for this particular project. So I think that's a real home run for us.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
have you discussed with Corey the closing one of the entrances to?
So we would look at that during site plan review. Obviously, I think that the site probably from a circulation standpoint would probably benefit from a parking yield if they reduced the access points to a single point of access along Love Madeira. Really, from a spacing perspective, the center access point probably makes sense if they widen the apron a little bit to allow for deliveries in and out, that kind of thing. But it appears to be adequate right now.
The center drive is adequate. We had been discussing with Choice One, closing the
Either
I guess
Western,
yes, yeah,
this access point.
for parking.
They'll probably pick up 3 spaces there. Yes, 3 to 4 spaces.
Yeah, what I worry about is if you have two entrances too close, you get traffic. Somebody coming will see somebody in one and not see somebody coming out the other one, and you wind up with bodies on the pavement.
Never know what that-
From a planning perspective, single access point here works, and
Mhm.
really this segment of the corridor doesn't have a lot of conflicting driveway access.
Because there's nothing across the street. is there?
Correct.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's the hillside.
That's dedicated space. It's part of Deer Ridge Phase 1. That was all dedicated perpetual space, so that'll never be developed. So that they'll never have conflicting parking, traffic flow from across the street.
Mhm.
Bob Beck and I forget his name. Guy, Chuck Thornton. That they did all of that entire development. So and deeded that property to the city many, many years ago. It's perpetual space. So.
Any other questions? Yes.
Mr. Chair, I've got a couple questions. One, for the staff, was there discussion with the walkability and the master plan sidewalk? With the sidewalk on the other side of the street, was there a discussion of crosswalk or with the risk of folks from Deer Ridge or others that want to cross Loveland Deer Road?
So I think Mr. Kennedy made a great point. So the applicant would install the sidewalk along his segment, his frontage. And then what Mr. Kennedy indicated was that we would work cooperatively with River Ridge and the adjacent property owners moving to the east there to get them to the designated crosswalk at High Ridge. Or is that High Ridge or Meta?
Yeah, High Ridge.
High Ridge.
High Ridge is to the east.
Yes. So
Yeah.
that would be the designated point
Okay.
with the goal that you would basically cross at the signalized intersection and then walk down.
Okay.
So
My follow-on question with regards to the site plan with amenities, is there a plan to have food or other things on site along with the tap room, tavern, or what? Is there any discussion on that?
No, not at this time. There may be food vendor trucks that they bring in for events, but it's really just going to be tavern use in the beginning phases.
Okay.
Once operations are up, there's infrastructure capable of supporting it in the future if they wish to do so.
Yes, sir.
Just to give you a heads up, we're in the process of changing our food truck ordinances.
Yeah.
Some of them have used them in lieu of a kitchen, and
Yeah.
that's no longer going to be the case.
Right.
Like if you have like an Oktoberfest events, long week, 2 weekends, a food truck would be there for the 2 weekends.
That's
Just a heads up, don't count on it.
But that's
as a
exactly
kitchen.
what
Yeah.
that's exactly what
Okay.
the applicants would be for,
That's unofficial, but
for events.
that's where we're headed.
No, we'd heard that and knew that was a possibility. So
I think the tap into the traffic that walks around, that when you deal with everything that comes off of High Ridge, 2 large apartment complexes, the condominiums there at the corner, I think that the potential there for the city to work. Hindsight, if we would have known this, we probably would have used some of the impact fees from River Ridge to put sidewalks in. Ultimately, the city would probably have to do an RRFB, which is the rapid rectangular flashing beacon crossing sign there. But either way, you've got quite a bit of visibility at such a point in time that would come. There's no blind turns there. So, hindsight's a wonderful thing. I wish we would have done the community entertainment district somehow farther, and we would have been able to help promote the liquor license, but we didn't connect that entertainment district.
Okay. Is there any plans for any outdoor seating or anything?
yes, sir.
Well,
Yes.
would that be part of the site plan development, I guess, then?
Yeah, and we have that we'll have that shown basically in the front half. You can kind of see there's where the building kind of jots out yes. So that whole area to the left, we're going to put in a fence. So again, as you roll up garage doors, I have some renderings, but I don't know if I'm allowed to pass them out since they're not part of the record, but I do have some renderings that,
Yeah.
if you'd like to kind of see what it might look like.
Fine.
You can kind of see the fence, so maybe think about it. I don't know if I have to cover everyone, but I'll kind of pass it through. So. On the same elevation from the front, just different perspectives. But so again, you kind of see where
What they have.
some glass to cut towards in. So over on this side, we're going to fill them in a different way. So it'll just be like a 4 foot, and they're 2-sided, but again, most of the same perspective. But we'll fill those garage doors in halfway. So just be half roll up doors, kind of like we did at the top of Bishop's Quarters, at the rooftop bar at Bishop's Quarters, where that goes. Roll up doors, same kind of concept. You can sit there if you want and look outside, or sit outside, look inside space out front of the building.
Yes, sir.
The roll-up doors be similar to the General Restaurant in Milford. They have that was an old commercial building, and they have
Yeah, maybe just standard, insulated glass garage doors. We'll put limiters on them, so they'll only go up like 8.5 feet, 9 feet, just because the overall width of the building and the distance and HVAC and some of the structural things we have to do to the facility.
you got different. Oh, we got the other angle.
Oh,
No,
okay.
just
Free renders.
Mhm.
Good question.
I do. Thank you. I don't see anything here that would suggest rooftop seating.
No,
It's all going to be inside.
Yes, sir.
And no real change to impervious surface as part of your initial thought process.
no, sir.
Is there any additional requirement for runoff other than what is currently there?
I don't know. I have to confirm with choice one, but I don't believe so. Again, we're capturing the same water exactly how it's being captured now. Again, same.
I mean, that's all part of the site plan. But
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
If you're dealing with choice one's quite familiar with
Oh, yeah.
city engineer
Oh,
requires.
yep,
So
yep.
I'm sure whatever's necessary, they'll include.
Yep. Michael's great about that.
I've got a question.
Yes.
Is there anything specific to microbreweries regarding wastewater that might be different than what a car wash might need to?
Yes, we have
do?
to put a monitoring manhole in. So before the water goes into sewer system. Greater Cincinnati Waterworks and MSD require you to put a monitoring manhole in to ensure that there's not particulates of the hops going into the stormwater system or the sanitary system. So we have to do that. We'll have to dig up and excavate the existing sanitary line and put a monitoring manhole over that sanitary line for the monitoring of the hops and stuff.
Okay.
Anything else? Okay, thank you.
I do have one other comment, if you don't mind.
Sure.
And again, just speaking with our client, the condition is adding the city sidewalk along Loveland Madeira Road. But I don't know that that's going to be an easy feat, or even it may be cost prohibitive to the project as a whole because of the grades and how the grades fall as you go east to west. And then where the right of way is and the setbacks, you're almost going to have to install retaining walls or segmental walls to make the sidewalk work as it comes down the street. We haven't done our due diligence. We're still working on that due diligence, but I don't want to stand before the committee without voicing our concerns around that. And that requirement is maybe a tough thing to do because of, again, it's just really when you get from the drive again eastward, because of the way the grade falls off and then comes down the hill. So you have two different grades coming from Loveland Madeira down and from the east to the west. So choice one's kind of evaluating that, and with regards to the city of Loveland's requirements with setbacks and easements and all that. But again, I wanted to make sure that the committee understood our position. We're working through that, but we don't know that we can accomplish that. And it's not as easy as just putting the sidewalk in because of ADA and other requirements.
Right. Yeah, no, there's, when you pull out, I remember that's something during site planning that can be
That would be
addressed to see if there's a,
for something that is
Okay. That again,
cost prohibitive.
right, that ends up being a,
we're here to be collaborative. We always have been with the city of Loveland, and we never intend on changing that.
If I might,
yes.
my only suggestion during the site plan, as staff works with you and as we start working through this, look at what other options there may be, right? With regards, as you start laying out your parking, your ingress, egress, right? There's some space that might be found in there to strike a
Yes, sir.
balance.
Yes, sir. Appreciate that.
Okay. Anything else? All right, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, we have Kim speak. Like your name, please, and address, and
My name is Kim Lukens, and it's 142 Hounds Run, Loveland. I'm here to just say in general, we're talking about economic gain in Loveland City, and I would consider it a small business, not a large business, but not to offend you if you consider it a large business. And I guess I'm here more to talk about values. The city and the community and visitors, we all have personal values that impact our decisions, how money is used, where we go to relax, socialize, and travel. I am a big opponent of the sustainable aspect of your business, reuse and recycle and refurbish. I don't necessarily believe, though, that we need more places to serve alcohol. For me, the historic or the panoramic picture of Loveland City, I don't see it as in compartments. I see it as the east and the west side. We're over the bridge, and I see it as a Loveland Madeira corridor. And I feel like in the one section of the Loveland City that there are probably 18, 19, 20, I don't know how many places that we can have alcoholic beverages. And I just, the gentleman said that that at this point there is not going to be any food served, and that it's really a place for beer. I mean, that's the specific draw point. And I just think that we don't need more small businesses that draw attention to alcohol. as for this business, it seems like the primary focus on motivation to spend money and to gather or socialize. So I guess my question is simply, how much of this type of entertainment does Loveland need more of? So,
Thank you. All right, do we have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Discussion?
We have discussed, and Mr. Bateman knows, for a very long time, with regards to economic development on Loveland Madeira Road and what can spur different development, different attractions. There are different people with different values and different motivations, and I get that. But for those that would patronize this type of facility, it could be the spark that section of the road needs to do something a bit more. We created the overlay district many years ago, and the intent of the overlay district was, again, to try and raise that bar for this area. Any kind of redevelopment in this space will create and move that bar up and will help draw people, which is what businesses need, not just this business, but the business at large. So I think there are certain things that can be catalysts for the community. This section of Madeira Road, I think, could use a lot of help, and I see this as one of the many tools to help that section of the city. It's my observation and opinion, having been involved as long as I have.
I agree. I think that from Mr. Kennedy alluded to this, the fact that there are so many new residents that are in such close proximity to this proposed establishment would be a big benefit to those folks, to create sort of a neighborhood watering hole for that community, so to speak. I think it also is a good companion to the Grand Sands volleyball recreation as well, another sort of recreation opportunity just down the street. So I agree with Mr. Weisgerber that this is an opportune development, particularly given the at this point seemingly minimal impact that it has on from a construction standpoint.
Yes, Mr.
The other thing is, since it's walkable from several large apartment complexes, not burning gasoline or diesel fuel, so that is a pro. It's going to be a local watering hole, and it is what it is. And the renderings appear to pretty nicely use the existing structure. So, and it does meet all the requirements that the code requires. I think we just need to put some conditions on it and go from there.
What conditions would you like to
I added a fourth one. Shall abandon one of the existing curb cuts.
Okay. Yeah, anyone else have any thoughts?
Mark, I think maybe it would come up during the site plan review, but there would be the potential, because it would be pretty affordable, that in lieu of, the feasibility, it not being logistically feasible to run the sidewalks on the south side of the roadway, that we could co-share the cost to put in our RFP. They're not overly expensive, and I think that would really be a neat aspect. Those are becoming more and more popular. We just put one at Phillips Park for the kids to park there, and I don't know if you know what it is. It's basically solar powered crosswalk sign with the beacons along the inside, and obviously there's one at Shoppers Haven over to the schools. So, and I think that would come off as a nice gesture from the developer, because he would be a win for him too, because it would help encourage not just apartments, but residents of the whole High Ridge area, Miami View, Upper Miami View, all of that area could truly make that a safe, walkable area. That could be a nice fit. Something our new police chief could get involved in, as far as getting our city engineer could get involved in, as far as the site distance that needs. But we'll talk about that during the site plan review.
Sure.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
The other thing is, having been in survived the paving business for 30 years, there's no reason for the sidewalk to come straight down the street on their side. At that northeast corner, you could do a zigzag ramp to get the grade change down to the parking lot, and then basically run it at parking lot level.
That's
As long as we don't exceed that requirement by
Yeah, it's just,
ADA.
Yeah.
I mean, they could, because they've got a dead corner in that northeast corner, and so you could come down and do a zigzag, make the grades work, and then basically just run it right alongside the parking lot at that flat, which is a pretty flat grade.
That existing poured in place wall on that eastern side of the property is probably no more than 2 feet tall anyway.
Yeah.
And if you get creative with the layout, you're not talking about
Right.
a big run.
And
to
an
get to the-
Allen block wall is not that expensive.
not prohibitive.
I built
Not for a foot and a
thousands of
half.
feet. I built thousands of feet of Allen block wall, and it's pretty quick
Mhm.
and inexpensive. So just a suggestion to think outside the box. It doesn't have to be straight. It can go.
I'm not texting. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
yeah. No, I think it's trying to reuse buildings and adapting them for other purposes. Pretty good fit, it appears. And I think, honestly, being a car wash, you got water. Microbrews use a lot of water, so you've got water service, and you're gonna have sewer, and you're gonna have it monitored and meet all the MSDS requirements. So I think it's a pretty nice reuse, in my opinion. So.
And our city engineer will make you meet MSD requirements to the dot. Believe me.
So, any other discussions or thoughts?
No.
Anybody like to make a motion?
I move we close the public hearing on case 2022-06.
I think we already closed it.
Oh, did we close it?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're in the discussion phase. If there's any more discussion, if not, if somebody would like to make a motion, if not, then we can continue our discussion.
I move we conditionally approve case 2022-06 for a conditional use application at 1555 Lower Madera Road with the 3 conditions as enumerated in the staff report, and additional of a 4th one. The owner shall abandon one of the existing curb cuts of their choice.
second.
Mr. Redmond,
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mr. Bateman,
Yes.
Mr. Kressler,
Yes.
Mr. Weisgerber.
Yes.
5-0, motion carries.
Okay. Next order of business is open forum, but we have no one signed up for open forum. So, new business, and there's nothing on for new business. Nothing on for old business. Any communications from the city?
Just a reminder that we have a work session scheduled for the 16th to discuss the mobile food vendors. We'll have a presentation intended to spur discussion, and then some survey results from a public survey that we put out on our on social media and the website. Got a pretty robust response, over 300.
Good.
Wow.
Oh, good.
That's next Tuesday, week from tomorrow. Is that right?
The 16th. Yes, sir.
And then just to follow up, Corey wrapped up everything. The city now owns the mobile station, so you'll see the building come down, and you'll see tanks and a turn lane start to come in as part of the 2023 road program. There'll be a turn lane coming down 48, which is 100 feet. Traffic signals will all be reconfigured. So that's a big step we're going to be using the TIF funds coming from the Chimney Ridge. Those TIF funds will be earmarked towards that traffic improvement. That's a big score for the city. If you saw if you've driven by the safety center, we've about finished the new parking lot. I think you'll like it. We didn't go in there and pave paradise. It's real neighbor friendly, and really fits in. A lot of green, a lot of grass, and that's a real improvement. There's public parking in the front, police and fire employee parking in the back. It really fits in well with that neighborhood up there. I think if you haven't driven past the safety center, you'll be pretty impressed with how that turned out. So, and if you haven't, anybody ever wants to tour the new public works building, just coming home early on a day from work, just shoot me an email. Glad for people to see it. It's a pretty impressive building we're building down there. Solar panels. So anyone ever, feel free to call me on your way home. I'll meet you down there. It's a pretty nice building. It's right down the street from where they're going. So,
And just a reminder that work session's at 6.
So, oh, thank you, because I would have.
You'll get a packet.
We'll send out the back.
How long
Get
are
an
you
invite
scheduling?
to
How
that
long are
as
you
well.
scheduling for? A couple hours.
When is it again?
The Tuesday the 16th.
At 6 p.m. I sent an invite, Microsoft
Is it
invite.
here?
Yes. There will be nothing else on the agenda. No minutes. Nothing else.
Just a work session.
Totally off the record.
Well, that's funny.
It's open to the public.
Open to the public.
That's
It's open to the public.
Career suicide. I just said
Hey, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
all in favor.
Aye. Thanks.